Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who has a sin. I hope you're doing well. And today I'm going to be covering some news a little bit earlier than I normally do because I'm in the process of getting ready to go out of town. I know, crazy environment to be traveling in, but again, there's been a family, not emergency really, but there's been a loss in the family on my wife's side, and so we have to, of course, go take care of that. So any thoughts and prayers for her and for her family, I really would greatly appreciate. But I did want to talk a little bit about the box office because this really is a sad time in our country for a wide variety of reasons. But as you all know, I cover the box office, I cover the news, and one of the saddest things that I've been seeing has actually been the box office for this past week. And I'm honestly concerned that we could potentially see a lot of theaters end up never reopening or being bought out or having to transition, fire, not have to lay off people. All these kind of things I think are possibly in the future. And so there's obviously questions of, will there be massive bailouts for these companies that are following the mandates of the government? Will we have any type of aid given to them at all? Obviously, it's hard for us to really think, why should, we be focusing on these giant corporations, even the theater chains themselves? But you also have to keep in mind too, that there's a lot of locally owned theaters that are going to be impacted by this. And also, we have to live in the here and now and realize that theater chains like AMC and Regal own the vast majority of theaters in this country, Cinemark too. And if we want to continue to go watch theaters, or rather watch movies at the theater, these places need to remain open, need to remain solvent. So it's really crazy times. And if you really want an actual, some tangible stuff to look at to see just how dire the straits, how dire things are for the movie theaters, remember that before the movie theaters closed pretty much en masse this past week, the movie theaters were already losing lots of money because no one was really going to the theaters because, rightfully so, a lot of people were listening to the recommendations of the government to try and, basically implement social distancing and try to avoid large crowds, etc., which of course would include the movie theaters. But let's just go ahead and look at some of the saddest numbers that I have seen ever, really, in box office history. And so to see all of these movies come in well under $1 million, and in many cases dropping 70+%, it's just a really sad state to see. And this is the reason why I don't think that when the theaters reopen, it's going to be this massive, let's everyone go back at once, because remember that they're going to have to transition back to operations as well. They're not going to be able to take the mass numbers that they were having before. And even beforehand, they really didn't have mass numbers because, the reports are coming in that even AMC was apparently in some financial straits prior to all this stuff going on. And so there's question marks about whether AMC is going to be okay. I mean, obviously, we could argue that pretty much all the major theater chains are probably struggling in the environment because the box office has already been down. Again, it was down last year. It's continuing to be down this year. And all the things that they're trying out really don't seem to be bringing a lot of people back to the theater. But anyway, these are some of the numbers. So this is from Monday. So Onward was the biggest grosser with $753,000. So again, nothing actually broke $1 million there. The next highest grossing was at almost $500,000 was Bloodshot, and then you get into movies below $500,000, and then you get all the way down to movies at $88,000, $85,000, and these are films that, a lot of them have been out. Bad Boys for Life has been out for 60 days now. Actually, I can't believe that film has actually been out for 60 days, but again, it's amazing to show just how well that film is doing. But even newer films like Emma, again, it's been out for 25 days, The Way Back. Again, to see these films making as little as they are. What's even worse, though, is when you start to look at the fact that they are still tracking some box office numbers here, because there are some theaters that are still open. And what goes crazy is when you start to go down, you see a lot less movies are actually available here. The highest grossing film on Tuesday was $346,000 for Onward, and then it drops to $235,000, $215,000, $138,000, $113,000 for The Hunt, which was only been out for 5 days. Again, just crazy to see these numbers. And I think what the saddest chart of all, though, is this one. I mean, there's really not much else that I can say. Basically, the only movies that could really have any recording of any cash whatsoever of the very few theaters that are still even open at this point were The Way Back and Birds of Prey, which made $7,000 and $2,000 respectively, or $3 per theater versus $1 per theater, an 87% drop, from the previous time, and 99% drop year to. It really is just sad to see. And I know that obviously there are certain studios that I, am usually happy to see fail. And I like seeing Disney movies not doing as well because I have a big problem with Disney as a corporation. I like to see films like Birds of Prey not doing nearly as well at the box office either. But at the same time, too, my heart does go out to all of those people that have been impacted by all of this directly, especially all of those people that have, that work in the theater industry. Remember that most of them are hourly employees, and so they're not likely getting paid for this time that they're not able to go to work. Obviously, we know the government's trying to work out some deals with Congress to see if we can, if they can send some cash to these hour employees that can't work and it's through no fault of their own. And I think that, I'm usually against that kind of thing, but in a time like this, when it is, again, no fault of these theaters, it's the states and the local governments basically pressuring them, and in some cases even forcing them to have to shut down. And even they, if they're doing it by choice, doing so because of the regulations and because of the recommendations of the government. Obviously I think that those are situations where we should try to help those people out, not just the giant corporations and the giant companies like movie theaters, but of course also the regular everyday worker as well, especially those that work at a theater. Again, having worked at a theater myself, again, building my way up from minimum wage to working as a supervisor, not making that much money as a supervisor, but still for the most part loving the work I was doing, because I just, again, I love movies in general. It's just really sad to see the box office in this current state. It's going to make the box office breakdown this weekend very sad. Again, I think on Geeks and Gamers, it's probably going to be more focused on what's going on with VOD, what's going on with the box office, and any news and updates that we might have from theaters, because obviously we could potentially see theaters announcing, even more closings. Could also announce that they might have to file for bankruptcy. I mean, again, we really don't know, because the economic impact of everything going on right now has not been fully realized. And I think that when you start to have these things go down, things that normally people would say, okay, well, I'm quarantined, well, maybe I can go out and see a movie and do some social distancing there. Now you can't even do that. And, with restaurants shutting down, and, as you all know, I'm a Catholic, and they just yesterday decided pretty much nationwide, every diocese in the United States has shut down. So there are going to be no public masses starting this Friday going forward for everyone. And you all know that sacraments are the lifeblood to the Catholic faith. And so it's just insane, the places that we are right now. And again, my heart goes out and breaks for all those people that are being affected, all those people that have lost their jobs, all those people that are being impacted, and regular everyday people that cannot afford to have these kind of losses, right? The corporations and the giant moguls, they'll be fine. They'll be able to get through this. They'll survive. But the workers for those corporations might not be. And so even though I have my issues with Disney, right, my heart goes out to all of those Disney employees that are hourly earners. My heart goes out to those college program students who basically were told, all right, yeah, we're closing things down, you got to go home. And, luckily some companies like Frontier and others have stepped up to say, we're going to provide you free travel to get you home. But then you think about all the people from all across the world, right? The foreign language, or not the foreign language program, but basically, the worldwide program they have, where people from other countries come in to work for them, and they've basically been told, yeah, you can't stay here. Okay, well, good luck trying to get out of the country and get back into your own, especially if their country is quarantined, or, whatever rules, regulations they have. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So just let me know, what are your thoughts about all of this? I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this again. And that's the big thing. I think that studios, that movie theaters, and that companies in general are going to have an entirely different way of thinking about how we operate because of what's going on right now. Because if something like this happens in the future, and there's a good chance that it could happen in the next 50 to 100 years, something very similar to this, we can't just shut down, right? Our economy just cannot shut down like this. And so theaters are going to start to have to implement new changes. Could we see them put caps on theaters to say we're no longer going to be filling to the brim, max capacity, 100% theaters? Are we going to have to go in and change the way that theater seats work? Are we going to have to go in and change how theater seats are cleaned, right? Because a lot of questions, and I don't think there's easy solutions. I don't think there's easy answers. And so let me know some of your thoughts about all this stuff in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash the like button, give us a subscribe, it helps us out a lot. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Again, my thoughts and prayers going out to everyone right now who's going through quarantine, who's going through all the craziness right now. And just know, we're going to get through this. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless. And now to give a special shout out to my March Patreon and Subscribe Star members: animation commentator Brian P., Dion, David Brobrizik, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Camiel, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Riff Racer Request, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelato, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B for Patreon, and my Subscribe Star peeps: Robert Revo, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, Alex McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Mike Jackson. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members for the month of March. You are all amazing people. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope that you are enjoying your perks. If you do not know the perks that you get, make sure you read again through all the perks that are listed, and also check your messages if you're over on Patreon, because if you are a $5 and up backer on Patreon, you get special access to giveaways over on the Discord. I send out messages with a link to join the Discord server. I will then hook you up over there, and you'll have access to some really cool giveaways. I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, digital codes, try and give away at least a couple of big movies, 4K Blu-ray titles a month, and try to do at least a 2 to 3 giveaways for when it comes to digital download codes. And I might try and do a little bit more this month as well, because I'm always trying to add extra stuff to it. And also, if you are a $10 or up backer, then you have access to a special podcast that I'm starting to do with John the Flick Pick. That's right, John Flickinger of the Flick Pick channel. We're having a lot of fun with the podcast, and so expect that every couple weeks. And of course, also any extra behind the scenes, extra footage, extra interviews, extra solo podcasts as well, you will also have access to. And my special $25 and up backers on Patreon Subscribe Star, you have access to all of those things that I've listed. You also get a t-shirt. That's right, I will send you a t-shirt for your first month. And of course, you can also be featured on the Chosen to Valhalla live stream once a month. You get to be featured on the Odin's movie blog channel. It's always usually on a Sunday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. You get to join some lovely peeps and have some really great discussion with all of the Chosen of Valhalla and me with the live audience. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.